thank you, Billy. Like I say, I just thought you were spectacular in this movie. I mean, you completely blew me away. And I don't know, when you were offered this role, were you kind of like relishing the role, or were you scared as shit?
I think you just summarized precisely how I felt. I was relishing the opportunity, and I was scared out of my pants. There were so many reasons not to do it, but the material is of such substance and so well crafted, and Richard Eyre is as interesting an artist as I'm aware of in the theater or film community, that his confidence in me, I suppose, just meant the world. And I've been so fortunate in my career to have opportunity after opportunity where I get to explore things that I would have never imagined I could be capable of, that I'm in the habit of accepting it. There's a kind of hubris attached to it that what am I, out of my mind to think that I'm going to be able to do that? And the process of doing this film, I felt a bit like I was in a boxing match, and that I lost each round, but I stayed in the fight. And by the end of it, it was a clear decision. I was lost, but I lost it, but I didn't get knocked out. And I felt excited to be a part of it and give it my best shot.
Well, obviously, I could see there was a ton of preparation for this role. It's not like you had these feminine things about you. Not that I could see from things I've seen you in. But, what did you have to do? What was the first thing that you ended up having to get it right?
Well, because the material is based on the language, and there are characters who express themselves verbally, I wanted to be as clear with the text as possible. So Richard and I began to work with a dialect coach very early on. I don't have kind of a magical ear where I hear somebody and all of a sudden can mimic them. It requires sort of disciplined analysis of the phonetics with a coach. And we go through the script kind of tediously and make notes, and then I spend as long as I possibly can going over and over and over it again until it becomes as second nature as it can become. So that was the first thing, getting hold of the language. And then the next thing we started to do was work with gesture. And because Ned was this incredible practitioner of gestural performance, we had to find a way to make that comfortable for me. We had to find a way to make me as expressive as I could be. And I suppose there was no real template for us because we don't have a record, a visual record or otherwise, of what performance was really like. By the same token, any kind of material that we read about it is necessarily from somebody's perspective, so we can't really trust their analysis either. As Richard kept telling me, Laurence Olivier was noted for his realism when he came on the scene, and when we look at his work now in Othello, it seems, Baroque compared to the Marlon Brando and James Dean and who would come afterwards. In any case, we kind of created our style of acting that was based solely on Jeffrey Hatcher's text. And for him, one of the interesting things about this period of time was the movement from the facade to the internal substance of somebody's character. So
now, don't take this wrong, but I think you look really good in a dress. You look really good. You're a very pretty guy. That's
a very, very sweet compliment. I confess, had I met me in a dark alley, I wouldn't have done me, and I would have been very scared, frankly.
But what was it like for you? First off, what was your very first reaction when you saw yourself all done up like
this is not going to work. That was I was reminded of the moment in Tootsie when he says, how far can you pull back? And he says, how do you feel about Cleveland? I sort of felt like the camera is not going to be able to pull back far enough to make me hotter. I wasn't nearly as demure as I wanted to be.
Yeah.
It was a bit terrifying.
I can imagine. I mean, Billy, you had to put on a corset. You had to wear high heels. Us women, we have it hard. I don't wear a corset, but, hello.
Yes, I am not envious of the women who were subjected to that torture chamber. And I'm not envious of the actresses who have to play the women who were subjected to the torture chamber now. I was not a fan of the corset.
You pulled it off big time. That final huge scene with Claire had me in tears. It was just magnificent. What impressed you when you started working with Claire?
Well, her work sort of speaks for itself. From a very early age, she's been a very capable actor and mature actor, makes intelligent choices, and her craft seems to evolve, and she was excellent to work with.
So now that you played Desdemona and Othello, who did you prefer?
I confess Othello. I wanted to like Desdemona more because I like Desdemona more in the play. But I liked being able to use the natural register of my voice.
Yes, I can imagine after going, can you still do all that?
Hell no.
So is it harder for an actor to do Shakespearean prose or just do normal dialogue? What's harder or easier for you?
I think working with Shakespeare, only because your intent is to make sure the audience is aware of what's going on. And because everything is foreign about his text except the language, there's a real challenge in making sure that audiences are following along. And at the same time, you can't be didactic about it. You have to be playing a character with motivations, and you have to invest it with the same kind of integrity while attending to the it's a bit of a juggling act.
I can imagine. Final question. I'm doing a big feature on great actresses of the silver screen. Now, you've had your share of some hot, amazing leading ladies, but if you could have your choice, who would you really just die to work with, and why?
Meryl Streep. She's the king.
She's the queen, whatever you want.
She's the king. She is on the top. The queen implies there's somebody on top of her. She's it, man.
Well, Billy, without a doubt, you will be at the Oscars next year. I'm telling you, I feel it in my heart. You were so magnificent in this movie.
It's very sweet.
So thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.